Intellectually petty radio on your stereo. Don't compare us to anything, this a different scenario. We break records while we pushing the culture forward. Great music and big vibes right in that order. Intellectually petty radio on the stereo. Don't compare us to anything, this a different scenario. We break records while we pushing the culture forward. Great music and big vibes right in that order.
And you are now tuned into another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, brought to you by M3S3 Clothing. Men make moves and suckers stand still. And as always, on the mighty Nerd DJs Radio Network, you already know, man, week after week, minute after minute, day after day, month after month, we only rock with legends around here. And today is absolutely no exception. Hold on. We got award-winning music exec, Nab Fiend founder and CEO, host of Women Who Jam Radio, former senior vice president for Def Jam and DreamWorks, speaker, mentor, and overall just dope ass human being, Miss Johnny Walker in the building. How you doing, Queen? Oh, I can't hear you. You are muted, I think. I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Hello. It was just working just fine. It was all good just a week ago. Yeah, I cannot hear you for the life of me. I'm not sure what happened. We was doing good just a second ago. Hold on, we'll start this over. All right. How's that? That is still, I don't know what the hell happened over here. We literally was just giggling and shit backstage. I am not sure what's going on. Miss Johnny Walker, can you hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay, because I cannot hear you for the life of me. And I'm not sure, I know I did not do anything different. Oh, I hate technology, and technology obviously hates me. Do me one favor, log out and log right back in. That may fix it. Yeah, just if you can hear the sound of my voice, log out and log back in. All right, bet. And hopefully that resolves things, because I'm not sure what the hell happened. We were literally just having a whole conversation about current events. Let's just say that. Yo, and while we wait for her to get back on, okay, the internet is being swept up in Remy Ma and Papoose drama, which I'm not too big on the drama of the day. However, it's pretty hilarious. Um, and if you're in the battle rap, you know that this is not a new scenario. The only new is the variable. Hold on one second. Let's see what Miss Walker is good. How you doing, Queen?
I'm just checking the.
Okay,
I'm
we can
getting a
hear you.
green light here, so it says
Yep,
it's working.
we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
So I
Thank
don't
you so
know.
much.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was just telling the people like we were literally just having a whole conversation about current
Yeah.
events.
Technology.
Yeah, it
Technology.
sucks. So how's life?
Yes.
How's your family?
Family's good. My grandson graduated from college and went to actually today, first day on the job. So I'm waiting to hear from him as to how his first day was.
Oh, snaps. What's
But
he
other
do?
than that, everything's good. God is good.
What's he do? What's his profession?
Well, he's studying to be a lawyer. He just graduated from Howard, but he has a position with the city of Baltimore.
Mm.
He's let me get it right, constituent liaison to the controller for the city of Baltimore. There you go. I
Mm.
think I got it right.
That's interesting. I interviewed their mayor a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really nice guy. Loves Wu Tang, by the way.
Well, I'm very hopeful that my grandson plant his feet there and find an alternative way to continue his law school studies, because I told him, every once in you got to take a break. Sometimes you find yourself and
Mm.
find out what it is that you really want, and I think this job will do that for him. Get to just kind of get his feet wet. He was working with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, before her untimely passing. And just recently, he was a call center manager for, was a partisan center where if you called about the Democrats or the Republicans or whatever you called about, they handled the calls. And so I think he's finding his space somewhere there in politics, but from a legal perspective. So
It's a beautiful thing. And it
just want to
sounds
be
like,
here to support.
sounds like the resume is already crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you, you started off as a country DJ, correct?
Yes.
How? Like, were you into country music? Like, how did that land in your lap?
Well, it wasn't so much that I was into country music as it was, golly, I just wanted to be in radio. Have you ever really just wanted something, just really wanted it? And the thing for me, I always wanted to be in radio. I loved radio,
Hmm.
but in Grenada, Mississippi, a little small town, there just were not any opportunities for such. And then the flip side of the coin is like, what are the chances of me actually getting on one of these radio stations? But what really happened for me, and we used to go to Memphis because that was like big city for us. We would go to Memphis to go to the record store, and I always would go there to pick out my songs. And one day I was actually at the counter. Back then, they would always put the Billboard chart on the counter. So in case you forgot the name of the song, you could see it there. And you obviously probably would make the purchase. Well, anyway, on this particular day, there was a picture of Isaac Hayes and Yvonne Daniels, and they were doing an in-store. And I always listened to Yvonne Daniels. She was on WLS. Had no idea she was Black. No idea whatsoever she was Black. And when I read that article, I said to the clerk, I said, "My God, Yvonne Daniels is Black." He looked at me like I was lost my mind, like, and but it was so overwhelming for me to find out that she was Black that when I went home that day, there is just nothing, no one, not a storm or fire. A volcano could have erupted. It could have told me I could not be an on-air personality because in my head, I just felt like as a Black female, it was never going to happen. But seeing that picture, it ignited the fire inside me. And so this country radio station, really, that was my choice. There were no Black radio stations there. So I would always go, and the general manager there on the day that he hired me, he was like, "Okay, follow me." I followed him in the back into their bookkeeping office, and he said, "This is Johnny. She's coming to work for us. I don't know what the hell she's gonna do, but she's coming to work for us." It literally had nothing for me to do, but I just think I don't even know if he was tired of me or maybe my persistence may have helped me. I don't know, but either or, that's what happened. And the next, I would say the next pivot that came, it was the midday air personality. I didn't come to work or for whatever reason did not show up. And so he brought me like a list of phone numbers, call, give me somebody, get somebody in here. And I'm telling you, I called. He would always say to me that you didn't call anybody, but I did. I called. I did. I was like, look, it's going to be me or it's going to be you because I can't find anybody. And well, obviously he's a general manager. It wasn't going to be him. So he put me in the studio. And the thing is, he said, do not turn the microphone on. All I want you to do until we can get somebody in here is just play the songs. Just play the songs. And so that's what I did. And so he comes in and he says, well, it's not a jukebox. You need to tell people what time it is. You told me not to turn the mic on. Turn the mic on. Tell people what time it is. Do something. Because I was just playing the songs. So when I went on and I said the time, he comes back in there. He says, read the weather. So I read the weather. Come back in. He says, read this PSA. Like, you got jokes today. But I read the PSA. And he says, you don't sound half bad. You really want to do this? And I said, yes. So he says, come back tomorrow morning when you come back tomorrow morning, I want you to come in the studio and just sit and watch, learn everything that you can. And so that's what I did. I came in, I would come in and just sit in the studio, and he eventually put me on in the middays. I was on 10 to 3 in the afternoon at a country radio station. And you tell kids all the time, I was country before country was cool, honey. Listen, I knew all of them. I was, I was a country music DJ. I didn't participate in anything. People didn't know I was black. I did, it was like that. What can I say?
I was wondering, like in the deep South, a sister doing country back in the day didn't sound like that was going to go over well.
Yeah, I didn't participate in anything. I share a little funny story with you. We had a contest at this radio station called the World's Dirty Truck Contest. And this is a contest where you just like literally do everything you can to mess up your truck for $1,000 because that was the grand prize. And so on this particular afternoon, I'm getting ready to go home. And so he says, what time are you going to arrive at the Dirty Truck Contest? I said, you got jokes. I'm not going out there. And he says, what do you mean you're not going? I said, what business do I have at a Dirty Truck Contest? You know it's not going to be any black people there. And I have no business there. I'm not going. And he said, no, the entire staff is going. Okay, well, you can count me out for that because I'm not going. And his thing was everybody that is a member of this staff is participating in the Dirty Truck Contest. If you're not there, I guess you're not a part of the staff. Are you really going to do that to me? And he was like, the staff is participating in the Dirty Truck Contest. I go to the Dirty Truck Contest and I was right. Of course, nobody's black there. Can you imagine putting a dead cat, deer head, and mud and garbage and sewage on a black man's truck? No way. And I said, it's not going to happen. There's not going to be any black men there. It was no black people there. And so when he was introducing the staff, fast forward, he was introducing the staff, and it was my turn. And I mean, they are doing all these cow whistles and clapping and screaming and yelling and just making all kind of crazy noises. And when it was my turn to walk out on stage, all of that noise just stopped. Quiet. So nobody knew I was black. And I don't know what I said. It's so many years ago. But whatever it is that I said something. And there was a gentleman in the back of the room that said, well, I'll be damned. He goes, that is Lady. It's like I called myself Lady J at that time. And he did this really loud cow whistle. And he did the cow whistle and he started clapping. And then everybody else started clapping. And so there I am in this big old hall. And everybody in there was white but me. And this guy clapping, and so everybody said, well, I listened to her, and they started clapping, and people started clapping, and I just got through that afternoon. Jim is standing over there. I told you it's going to be all right. I said, you didn't know. Neither one of us knew, but it's okay. Can I go home now?
Did it empower you though?
You can go home now. So I was there for 6 years. I did it for 6 years. But the other side of that is I would always go to Jim and ask him to let me play black music. And he would always say, it's not a jukebox. You can't play what you like. You got to play what we can sell. And I would just constantly ask him, please, I could just 1 hour. 1 hour is not going to hurt this precious radio station. 1 hour. And so he finally, that's the one thing I can always say about my career with Jim Holt, he just would do stuff. So he put me on at 10 o'clock at night and told me I could play R&B music from 10 to midnight because the radio station signed off at midnight. And another quote from Jim Holt: if they come and burn the station down, we will have gotten a full day of programming in. So he said a full day of sales and programming. I was like, Jim, really? But that was my guy. We went on at 10 o'clock at night. And of course, we got a couple of the ugly calls, but it didn't matter. I was doing what I wanted to do. Man, I was playing Michael Jackson. I was playing Earth, Wind & Fire. I was playing Gladys Knight. I was happy. So I was on for those 2 hours. And Jim comes in, and because the sales, I left the part out about the reason why he didn't want to do it, because he felt like he couldn't sell it. And he told me that if I could go get 3 signed contracts, then he would consider it. I came back with 5. I had 5 signed contracts. So in 5 signed contracts, that's when he put me on at 10 o'clock at night. But the sales were coming in, and Jim was like, well, we need to move this down to 8 o'clock. So then we're on this country radio station playing black music from 8 o'clock to midnight. And like I said, it just kept growing and growing. Jim moved it down to 6 o'clock. So we were on for 6 hours
Really?
on a country radio station playing black music. And that is how the journey began.
Oh, wow. So I'm curious, after the Dirty Truck contest,
Yeah.
when you go home, who did you talk to about that?
Well, when I went home, my sister, we sat down, because you got to think, this is Mississippi, 19, probably, I'm going to say 80, maybe. And that's not so long ago, but still.
That's a long time ago. Things were a lot different back
It
then.
was a lot different. It was a lot different. And, my sister was like, were you afraid? Of course I was afraid. I was the only black person there. And I said, I had to make a decision between the Dirty Truck contest or this career that I've wanted so badly. And I chose the career. I said, but, it's just like we always do in the South. We pray, we put it in God's hand and walk through the door, man. And so then it became funny. We all laughed about it then. We all laughed about being in that room and no blacks were there. And I'm like, okay, you're playing their music, and I'm sure there were people that probably thought about ugly things that they have said. I'm sure. But this thing is, can we turn this thing off? But, I what can I say, man? I just got past all of that. But yeah, me and my sister talked about it, and it was that thing, we just, hey, Mississippi. What can I say?
So how long did you spend as an on-air personality altogether?
In my career,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say maybe 12 years.
Okay.
Because I left that station and I went to a radio station in Memphis because I just really wanted to be in that environment. I wanted to be around, black music, black programmers, black radio, just the whole black thing. And I just wasn't getting it there. The beauty in being in that at that little country radio station, man, I was a big fish in a small pond. They would just literally, I could do whatever it is that I wanted to do simply because, I just had no competition, none.
Yeah.
I actually even used to do a lot of parties. I used to play at Ole Miss. Black, female, DJ,
Ole Miss?
with 12 inches.
Oh,
But
Lord.
it paid good, and it worked. And so it was not a problem for me. I had a really, I'm going to say a tall, big old, tall, beautiful black boyfriend. So when we walked in those places, it just, hey, nobody bothered me. They knew I was there to entertain, to play the music. And so it was good. I wanted to be in black radio. And that's ultimately why I left. And so like I said, I came to a radio station in Memphis. What was good about that? We were in a meeting one day, and they were talking about the female demographic, 18 to 34, women this, women that, women this. And I was like, golly, man, everything that we talk about is what women do. A woman should be programming this radio station. And of course, everybody laughed. They're like, women don't program. What do you mean women don't program? They don't program. You do the midday show or the overnight show. You don't program the radio station. And I just lit another fire inside me. I said, well, I think a woman should be programming this radio station, and that woman just might be me. And of course, that was a joke, but the last 2 years that I was at that particular radio station, I did program it, and I took it to number 2. We didn't make it number 1, but definitely we made it to number 2. So
how do you go from DJ to programmer to on the other side of the coin in the music business?
Well, back in the day, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Zoom, and all of
Hey,
these
listen,
things that you have now.
we had
Uh,
lives.
yeah, you had to go. You had to go to Jack the Rapper. I don't think people's like, oh, Jack the who? What are you talking about?
Goodness,
You
I
had to
remember
go
that
to
shit,
the
man.
Urban Network, the Impact, BRE. These were the major music conferences for Black music or people in Black music. And if you for somebody to know who you are and what you do, and you're trying to get to that next elevation in your career,
Mhm.
these are the places that you had to go. And so at that time, as I just told you, I had taken my radio station to number 2 because the number 1 station, man, they were playing all the hip hop. They was playing all the, but we weren't. That is how we differentiated ourselves. We did not play rap. So I'm at the Impact conference, and who this little guy comes up to me, him and another big tall guy, and they're coming up to me. They say, well, that's that programmer right there. She's the one that's not playing our LL Cool J. And no, they came at me. Oh, they was going like boom this, boom that, do this, do that. I'm like, I don't play rap. The way that I have my station formatted is rap does not work for me. And so we were just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I never wavered. I never changed.
Mhm.
And that Monday, the little guy, I call him little guy. The guy was Russell Simmons. And that Monday, he called and offered me a job. And I said, doing what? And that's when he said, we want someone that will stand up for our company and our artists and our music the same way you stood up for that radio station. He said, I threw everything at you and you never changed. You just like, this is what I'm doing. This is what it is. I'm not changing. And he said, regardless of what I said, what I offered, what I put before you, you just never changed. He said, if I could, I just want somebody to support my music, follow what I'm doing in that same passion. Just don't change. Well, I really was not interested because my whole career, my whole life has been radio. I want to do radio. But God,
Were you a fan of hip hop at the time, though?
I know my daughter. Listen, my daughter said, "Mom," I came home that evening to share it with my daughter, and my daughter said, "Mom, you don't like rap? That doesn't even make sense. That's might that be the worst thing that you could do?" And I said, "Well, I kept trying to figure it out, and I said, she's right. I don't really like rap music. I love what I'm doing. This wouldn't work." So basically, I turned the job down. But they called me back with that salary, man. At this time, I'm recently divorced. I'm just a year from my kid wanting to go to college. I was like, you're going to pay me what to do what? And I took the job. Listen, I took the job. But, well, really not but. What worked for me at that company, I knew radio, and they did not. They knew of radio.
Yeah.
They didn't know the inner workings of radio.
Yeah.
They didn't know the strategy behind how we select our songs.
Okay.
They didn't have the computerized systems that they have now. We did it by hand, and they didn't know that. And so I was able to go inside that company with a knowledge of radio programming that nobody in the company had. And so that set me apart from everybody that was there, because I came from a different perspective. I was like, you're just going in asking people to play your music. They don't care. They're going to play what they feel is a hit and is going to build the station so that the station has greater numbers. They don't really care about your song. They really don't. So I started to create things around our music. I had this little saying, let me help you win. Let me show you how you can win. So it was always about the radio station winning and not necessarily my music. My music was coming, but I made it seem like I was always there to help them win. So I would always go in there with some little promotion. It might be a cheesy, chazzy, nothing, but I was always walking the door with something other than my records. And so they just like it just I'm telling you, just caught on. I just thought, and I always talk radio language to them. I talked about, Arbitron. I talked about numbers. I talked about TSLs and things like that. So my conversation was more about the programmer in radio, in the music, and then trying to slide my songs in there.
Okay.
And like I said, it just worked for me.
What was the first song that you were tasked with? Do you remember? Or artist?
Probably. Actually, I don't know. Probably like a Newkirk song, and I think he has passed on, but I don't even remember the name of it. But I think that might have been. If not that, it was a song that I already was doing okay, but I had to, learn the whole promotion game, and it might have been "Just Call My Name" by Allison Williams. Those are songs that I remember from really those early days, because you had artists like LL Cool J, who's doing really well.
Yeah.
I think that starting to understand Public Enemy and Flavor Flav and all of that, those became my challenges, because my daughter used to laugh at me because I didn't like rap music. So it was just really trying to understand, where those artists were coming from, so I could craft my presentation when I went to radio. But I think in those early days, I think it was like Allison Williams and then a young man named Newkirk were the ones that I can remember before, say, you're doing the Public Enemy and on to artists like that.
Any artist that you got particularly close to?
I didn't really get really, really close to anybody because I don't know. I always wanted to keep that space. You just have to understand I was a female in a very male dominated situation.
Yeah.
And I just could not really, I felt the way my dad raised me that I couldn't. But I will say 2 artists that I still, I talk to today that I have such high regard for, and that's Montel Jordan and LL Cool J. They were really, really great guys, and they really showed me such a humongous amount of respect. And they're just other things that other artists sometimes do and say. They never did that. Never. I mean, LL Cool J, such a joy to work with. I don't care if I said, LL, you're going to stand on the corner in a towel and sign autographs, and we need to be there at 4:00. He would come back, well, you got to make sure the towel is big enough for me to wrap it all the way around me so that it won't fall off of me. That would, he just, he wouldn't have said a cuss word or you done lost your mind or he just, a really funny story. LL Cool J was filming Deep Blue Sea.
Okay.
And I needed him to come to LA. I'm sorry, not LA, Atlanta, to do something for B103. They was doing their sister circle, I think they called it. And an artist like LL Cool J for all the women. It was like, whoa. And he was on the set of Deep Blue Sea. He couldn't leave Deep Blue Sea to come to Atlanta to go, whoa. That was not going to work. But it meant so much. And I kept saying, if you would just do this one thing for me. And so the challenge became, how do I get him from the set out in LA, from the set of Deep Blue Sea to Atlanta and back on the set so he's not fined? Because the fine was some ridiculous number that if you're late or whatever, they fine you. So I was given approval to rent a private jet so that I could pick him up on the set, fly him to Atlanta, do what we had to do, get him back on the set. And I said, Todd, you have no idea how much I appreciate this. What do you need me to do? He said, I just need a room that has a gym so I can work out. I said, I got that. Don't worry about that. I got that. So we picked him up off the set of Deep Blue Sea, flew him to Atlanta. He got the opportunity to go to the gym. That's what he wanted to do. took him to V103 to where they were having their event. And I mean, he stood there, he performed, he took pictures, he hugged the ladies. He did all the things that everybody expected him to do. I'm watching my watch the whole time. And then I'm like, Todd, we got to go. I need to get you back on this plane so you can get back to the set so there is no fine. And he's still trying to take pictures. He's walking to the limousine, but still taking pictures and stopping to talk to the fans. And I'm like, I'm loving all of y'all, but he got to go. And got him in that car, on that plane, flew back out to the West Coast on time, on set, not a problem. Everybody happy. So, I mean, he was never upset, never angry, never any foul words, none of that. So that's why I said one of my favorites.
Okay, so how long were you with Def Jam?
Almost 17 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yo, that's crazy. And what made you leave Def Jam?
Well, changes in management had a lot to do with it. Russell stepped down. He was running Russell Simmons Music Group and Fat Farm and all the other things. He still was chairman of the board, but he was not a part of the day-to-day operations. And, you know, I had been there all that time. I was, you know, I felt pretty comfortable in where I was and what I was doing. But again, new management, new people in charge, they have a different vision. And a lot of times those visions, they're not in sync. And so we just came to an impasse. And fortunately for me, I was recruited by Steven Spielberg to come to DreamWorks. So bye-bye. See ya.
I'm sorry. Did you by the man himself, Steven Spielberg?
Well, Steven Spielberg through there was another gentleman, Mo Austin, and Johnny Barbas that actually called me. That was the first call. And then that's when I learned that it came through from Mr. Spielberg for me to come out and head up Black music for DreamWorks. So did that for about 5 years.
So did you? I'm assuming at some point you meet Mr. Spielberg.
Did I meet him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah, that's the next question. Of course, I need to know.
I had a funny story.
So
on this particular day, I had got settled in my office. And here's the cool thing. I had an office in New York and an office in LA. So here's the cool thing. I'm in my beautiful LA office and it was really nice, you know. And so he stops and he introduces himself because you meet people on the phone, but not physically, you know. So now it's like physical meeting. And so is everything okay? How's your office? Oh, love my office. Everything is good. I'm meeting people. I'm getting the vibe. I'm getting the lay of the land. And it's just all going great. I'm looking forward to the artists and all of the things that we've, discussed doing. So I was really, all of that was great. Oh, so everything's good. He said, are you sure? I said, well, there's one little thing. And he was like, well, what is that? I said, my stationery. He said, what's wrong with your stationery? Well, it just has my name there. It doesn't have Head of Black Music there. I look at my business cards. I had the business card. You got the scratch pad. You got the envelopes and the letterhead and all of that. It just said my name. And that guy looked at me and said, oh, so the only way that people know what you do for this company is your title? Oh, we must have hired the wrong person. How do you come back from that? So I often tell people, a title don't make you, you make the title. I learned that the hard way. I wanted my title to be on, listen, those business cards, the business card to just have my name on it. I wanted
you earned that title, right?
Oh, please. I'm black, female, and Black music. Come on, man.
Yes. Y'all niggas need to know. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. But y'all know, I put my foot in this career, and we here now. Steven Spielberg.
He didn't understand it from what it meant to me.
Yeah.
But I understood where he came from. I totally got that. And I said, everybody will know that I am head of black music at this company. You don't have to worry about that. Everyone will know. But in that moment, wow, I had to kind of really, I was looking for a comeback. You know how the kids say clap back? I just didn't have a clap back for that. I was like, wow, what did he just say?
Although I do get it.
Yeah, I did. I got it. It's just that at that moment, he threw me. He got me. And, he's a little old self. He's not a big guy. He just walked on down the hall. I was like, what just happened?
Okay, so give me some highlights from DreamWorks.
Meeting Burt Bacharach, being in the studio with Burt Bacharach. Burt Bacharach and Ron Isley were two of the artists that were signed to the label, and they actually did a collaboration. And they had a song, I believe it was called Here I Am, I believe, don't quote me on that. But they actually had an album, a CD. But that's all about the time that Mr. Spielberg had decided to get out of the music game. But I was very proud of that album. Floetry came, Say Yes, and that was a really great group for us. We had signed Sleepy Brown. Sleepy Brown was the hook guy, the R&B guy from Outkast. David Hollister. It was a plethora of artists that we were working with that I was so proud of, and I was so happy I had such a great vision for where we were going to go with just straight up R&B, not necessarily hip hop. Not that I had all those years I had been in hip hop, but I was very excited about being at a platform that was celebrating R&B. It just, it was just a good time. Like I said, Floetry, David Hollister, Ron Isley. We actually signed Trey Songz. We signed Trey Songz before he became Trey Songz. He was on DreamWorks. And it was just, I really was excited about, being there in the whole R&B thing. But I think, just my opinion, and what they say about opinions, but I think hip hop was just advancing so rapidly.
Yeah.
And it was advancing at a state that for labels, it was not as costly. Because when we put Burt Bacharach and Ron Isley on the road, man, those jokers took an orchestra. I don't even have to tell you. Let's start thinking about moving a small orchestra around, venues, got to be the right venue, got to have the right sound, okay.
That's a bit much.
That was a lot. And then you got people over here at Def Jam with back then, a DAT.
Yeah, or at the worst, some records.
Hey, some records and a DAT. And hey, wardrobe, change your blue jeans. Put a different shirt on. You keep saying blue jeans, put a different shirt on.
Absolutely.
Wardrobe was... Really.
Yeah.
So I'm over here like straight up wardrobe, tuxes and stuff like that. I know we were spending money, and I think that where we were, especially like when you come to the girls, the hair, the makeup. I just think one day he decided, woo, have y'all looked at these budgets? And so he just eventually decided, to sell the company.
So at what point do you decide to start NABFEM? And what is NABFEM?
Okay, NABFEM is the National Association of Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment. It's a nonprofit networking empowerment resource base of women that come together, that are willing to share their career experiences, their work, their energy, the things that they have done to share it with others. And it's how we build the platform. It is about us, networking amongst ourselves, sharing information, sharing education, pouring into the next generation of leadership. Like I said, from back in that day, in that meeting at the radio station, when the guy said women don't program, and then being in at Def Jam, very few women. There were women there now. I don't want anybody to think that there weren't women at Def Jam. There were, but few. And so it became this thing of a voice, of hearing it from our perspective, understanding what we have to do when we go on a tour. We're out on a tour for a month and away from our families. Men just go because you got the wife or the significant other at home taking care of everything. If we go, that's it.
Yeah.
And so it was like just understanding this job and this work from our perspectives, and then understanding that we're creative. We have ideas. We bring significant operational tools to the table. Got to listen to us. When we're great, we're not just the secretary. And I would tell people all the time, you don't disrespect the secretary or the admin assistant because she know everything.
Listen.
She know about your other woman. She know everything. Don't disrespect her. She knows everything. You don't even know what time the next meeting is. She got to tell you, you got to be there at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. She knows everything. Yeah. And so it was like, we didn't have a lot of, I would say, women in upper echelon of positions, but there were a lot of women in those other positions. So we are charged to go out and gather as many women as we could, regardless of what they were doing, to let them know they matter, to let them know you are enough, and to let them know you have a voice. And maybe you are somebody's assistant, but maybe you want my job. Maybe you want another level. Mm-hmm. So when you sit with us, this is how you learn, because we're going to tell you. We're not going to cut anything out. We're going to give it to you straight, no chaser. And we're going to teach you. If it was really about teaching, because, you know, the whole R. Kelly thing, we knew about that. All these things that we talked about a lot of times, it's like, shh, don't talk about that. Let's not bring that up. So we have to have our own circle. We have to have our own place where we talk to women about these kinds of situations and how to handle it.
I'm just curious, and I hate to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you see something like R. Kelly and not say anything?
Well, you can say something, but if the people that are higher up than you, mm-hmm. they can easily crush your voice. They can easily, you know, if you're trying to say something and it's like, okay, we can easily replace you, because they can. So you got to pick and choose how, when, and where you say what you say, because then there was no Me Too, no, none of that. So it was just us in our circle, you know, to discuss how we deal with these things, because they're happening. And listen, they weren't just happening with R. Kelly. Okay. Please. He just happened to be a major celebrity or a big name. So whatever he was doing is magnified.
Yeah.
But Charlie over there trying to do the same thing. Okay. So you got to prepare yourself and know how to handle yourself. My father don't know nothing about the music industry and none of that. He used to always tell me the way the package is presented determines how the package is accepted. And he would say, if you go in there a certain way, that is how they're going to treat you.
Yeah.
If it's okay for you to be honey baby darling, then you're going to be honey baby darling.
Yeah.
And that is why I have always said, because I used to hate my name because I always felt it was so masculine, but you know, obviously it worked, but I always put Miss in front of it. And I just really made people start to refer to me as Miss Walker. If you said something else, I'm like, you don't know me like that. So I keep walking. I haven't given you permission to call me by my first name. So
that's amazing.
These are just things that my father taught me.
And so would you say that things have changed for the better with women in the music profession?
Well, I will say that definitely things have changed,
Okay.
and definitely I'm seeing a lot of women, female-based organizations. Our voices are louder. The platforms are greater. We have more opportunities to bring our voices and what we our talents to the table. So I would say that it has changed in that sense. The thing that disturbs me is that we're still talking about pay equity. Okay, that was 25 years ago. And today we're still paid unfairly. The promotion process, the climbing of the ladder process is a little better, but it still needs improvement. It's almost ridiculous to me that there are really no women in the where are they? If they are, I mean, there are women
Hmm.
in the music industry. Sometimes I have to come back and correct myself or check my own words. Yes, there are women in the music business, black women, but where are the black women in positions of power? Where are they? And you would think that today that number from when I was in power would be quadrupled now. So we still have Sylvia Rome, praise God. But
I think she may have been a gift and a curse, and I'll tell you why. I
okay,
think Sylvia Rome was there hold her, and not that she didn't earn her stripes, she absolutely
right.
has, but it was the music industry's. We've got a sister at the top
Hmm.
to shut other people up, and to be okay with not allowing more sisters to be her counterpart or her equivalent,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I totally agree. I would say during the time that I was at the top, say at Def Jam, you had Sharon Hayward that was at Virgin and went from Virgin to Perspective, and you had Gene Riggins that was at Universal Records. You had women that were in these top seats, and like Tina Davis was at Def Jam A&R. How many women that was vice president of A&R? It was just like a lot. It was a plethora of women that were really, I would say, make it happen, as the kids say, making it happen.
Hmm.
And it just seems seemingly diminished, to my knowledge. Now, let me just give myself a little bit of a disclaimer here. I'm not in it the way that I once was, so I don't keep up with it the way that I once did, but I read a lot. I read a lot. And I just see, let me say, I don't see a lot of women that look like me that are in these positions. I don't. So I think that the executive vice president, uh, Nima, I think her name is, I'm not really 100% sure, at Def Jam,
Okay.
is a black female. And again, like I said, there could be others. I'm just not aware of them. I don't see a plethora, is what I'm saying. Uh,
Understandable.
and it's almost like I would say, even like the DJ thing, because I used to do that. That was kind of like male territory. It's still male territory, as far as I'm concerned. But when you start looking at the female DJs, they don't look like me. It's not some out there now.
Yeah, but they
Quite a
don't.
few. There was it DJ Francis and down in Texas. It's a lot. They're out there.
Shout out to Taylor Made in
Mhm.
Detroit.
Cherry Red. They out there now. They
Yeah.
out there. It's just that if you were to go and say female DJ, put it in Google or something like that, a lot of the lists, they don't look like me. But
No, they would definitely be other.
yeah.
Um,
But high five to those sisters that's making it happen. Be they whatever culture, whatever background, I'm happy to see them penetrate this culture that for decades, male dominated. But just a lot of sisters out there got their headphones, honey, and listen. They don't have the decks like we had back in the day. They got their MacBook Pro.
things have gotten a lot easier in that aspect.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so Women Who Jam Radio, 30 stations across the globe. Is this just women that can be like on air, or is it people, like let's say I got a huge female following and I want to be down with Women Who Jam.
Mhm.
Is that possible?
I mean, possible in what aspect? Now, I want to be clear. What do you mean?
Can I broadcast on Women Who Jam Radio?
Well, okay. First of all, let me define. Let me define it.
Okay.
It's a 1 hour radio program,
Okay. Got it.
and we send the show out to those 30 stations that you're talking about.
Mhm.
So we probably could. We not to say that we can't do it, because we can. We can do whatever we want to do. It's just that we utilize the program to highlight, promote, and market female artists because it's so hard. It is so hard. Everybody's not Beyonce, everybody not Megan Thee Stallion, everybody not Cardi B or whoever is hot right now.
Yeah.
Everybody don't fit in the same box. And then on top of that, it's so many great R&B artists out there that never get played.
Yeah.
So we utilize our program you're going to hear Lettucey on our show. You're going to hear Stephanie Mills on our show. You're going to hear, Doechii is breaking out now, but we were playing Doechii before what is happening with her now.
Mhm.
Other artists that I'm sitting here now looking at, but that's my Christmas list, so I don't need to look at that list. But there are a plethora of female artists that we play weekly that you probably won't hear their music on commercial radio.
How does one submit their music to you?
Women Who Jam at AOL.com. I know you say AOL.
I was
Yeah,
just about to say,
whatever.
damn, AOL?
Different.
Oh, Lord. That's
Yeah,
older than I am.
we had considered, getting a Gmail account or just utilize the website and just say something like music at womenwhojam.com. We just haven't done it. So we still have the AOL address. And so people send us music there. So we didn't really not ready to retrain everybody with a new email address, womenwhojam at AOL.com. Send us your music. The only thing we ask is that, and this just falls on deaf ears because we still get it. Please don't send us the explicit version. But like I said, it falls on deaf ears because we still get the explicit version.
I'm certain you do.
Maybe we're not iHeartMedia, so they send us like, you can play it. No, I can't, because our show airs on several college radio stations. It airs on several, low power FMs. We can't play that version. Now, for the radio stations that air our show that are on the internet, I guess it would be okay. But we're not going to do a special show for your song because you chose to put F-bombs all through it. We just, and let me tell you this is funny to me. After I say this, a song, I really like the song. I'm not going to call the artist's name, but I really like the song. And I explained to them, I said, I love this song, but I can't play it because you got all of this stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
So they cleaned the song up, supposedly. So we need to do a class on editing, okay? Because that is not an edit.
I mean, well, this generation is more accepting of certain colorful language than my generation.
Yeah.
So, maybe they just not, they're ignorant to how it should be cut up or edited.
And if you're smart enough to take the U and I still hear the CK and the F, but that you did clip the U out, that's not to me.
And that's just more work, like to just take the U out.
Yeah, well,
crazy work.
Person says, and you hear him say like, what? I said, that's not an edit. Okay. I can't tell you how to do what you do. I'm just saying for us, that's not an edit. Or when they edit, they take the word out. Take the word out. What if it's the word M with the F bomb longer word. So you take that out. That's like a whole maybe second or 2 second
Yeah.
empty space.
Yeah.
That's not an edit either. You're supposed to match the beat. What you?
Yeah. Throw something, Mother Frogger.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey,
something.
you know what? The other thing that I've said, just as easily. I realize what you're trying to do, but just as easily as you use that word, God promise you, there's another word you could use.
It's so easy.
So easy.
So, and I know I've only got an hour, and
Okay.
I just looked up and it flew by. This is a question I ask everybody that comes on the show.
Okay.
Okay, so you're sitting on a park bench, and God sits down next to you and says you can ask him or her one question. What would it be?
Golly. Why did you take my father before I really got a firm grip on who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing? Because he was such a great teacher. I wasn't ready for him to go. And so then I found myself in my career remembering, and I tell my grandkids this now. A lot of the things that you hear me say, it came from my father with his third grade education. He taught me so much, and I leaned on him. So even when I wanted to go into radio, nobody believed that he was the one person that said, yeah, baby, you can do that. Yes, that's great. Oh, that sounds good. And he would always, he just coached me about being around men. He coached me about how to handle myself. It was just so much. And so I found myself, I go into my space and I remember, what would Dad do? What would Dad say? And then I think about what he would say, and then I move forward. So I'm able to conquer things. So I probably would say, God, you could have given me a couple more years. You could let me get my feet grounded, and then, but no, there's never no time to right time. But that was my rock. That was not everything. His name was Johnny, okay? He was Johnny, I was Johnny.
Wait a minute, so are you a junior?
You might as well, because the kids used to tease me and call me Junior all through. I'm telling you, you have no life except for to be a girl and got your daddy's name. And listen, my dad, there were no boys. And I was the last born. So that was going to be my name regardless. That I had no choice. And it's like, he was my rock, man. He just taught me so much. I missed him. But even in his passing, I was comfortable at that country radio station. And my dad is the only person that would challenge me. And I didn't want to leave him, but he had passed, and it was almost like a revelation. Go. He would want you to go. He would not want you to stay here. You have to go. And I would always say, Dad, are you sure? Should I go? What? Go. And I just remember I went to that radio station in Memphis, and I would always say, Dad, people, Wes Johnson, you probably don't know him, but he was my supervisor or vice president at Def Jam. And you would always say, I wish I could have met your father. Because every time I would be sitting there, I would like, okay, what would Dad do? Dad would say, and he would always say, I really wish I could have met your father. Because he said, he asked me, is he still alive? I said, no, he's passed on. He said, well, I'm telling you, he's still here. He is sitting in this room right now.
I completely understand that, because I'm the same way about my mother. She was just such a presence.
Weren't they so wise then? They were so wise.
And the crazy part is you really don't know how fucking dope they were until they pass. And people come out the woodworks telling you stories that they didn't bother to tell you about their greatness.